Has anyone ever told you about the bartender's paradox? It's 1970 and a young man has gotten drunk at the bar after having multiple shots of vodka. Him and the bartender are having a debate about gender roles in society when the young man tells the bartender, "Hey, I understand the female perspective because I was actually born a woman back in 1945. Yeah, I was born an orphan and I grew up in an all-girls orphanage until I was 18 when I was seduced, impregnated, and then abandoned by an older man. During the delivery of that child, that's when she first learned when the doctors told her that she was an intersex, meaning she had both male and female sex organs. But due to the complications of the pregnancy, she was going to lose her female organs and she was going to have a gender reassignment. Now, while she was unconscious after that surgery, the baby was mysteriously kidnapped by a mysterious older man. The young man tells the bartender that that's why he drinks so much. His life has been full of nothing but sadness and abandonment since he was a baby, and that he wants nothing more than to get revenge on the older man who seduced, impregnated, and abandoned them when they were 18. By this point, the bartender is moved by the story and invites the young man to the back of the bar, where there is a time machine that looks like an ordinary refrigerator. The bartender tells him that he will take the young man directly to the man that he wants revenge on in return for a favor that he must complete exactly 40 years from today. The young man agrees and they hop in the fridge. So they're going back in time, and the bartender tells the young man that he needs to make a quick stop in 1963. While they're there, the young man finds himself ironically attracted to a young orphan woman. It's like love at first sight. Now the bartender says, "Okay, look, we're here to create a mission. Let's go." But the young man is like, "You know what? I need more time. Like, I have love now. Like, I don't even care about getting revenge anymore. I have loved. I just need more time." So the bartender agrees to complete the mission on his own, and he'll come back to get the young man the next day. The bartender then goes 9 months into the future, steals a baby from the hospital, and drops it off at the nearest orphanage. He goes back 1963 to pick up the young man. The bartender and the young man then travel back to the bar. They exit through the mysterious refrigerator time machine, and the bartender tells the young man, "All right, the mission is complete. From now on, you're going to have a joyful and successful life, but don't forget, you have to come back in 40 years. As time goes on, the young man begins to realize what had happened. The seducing man from his past, the orphan girl that he fell in love with on his time travel vacation, and the baby that was kidnapped were all him. Years go by, and he now knows what he must do. He goes back to that same bar, makes his way to the back, and sees the familiar refrigerator. He jumps inside and becomes a bartender at that bar. And on a particular day, in walks a young man who asks him for a shot of vodka.
Okay, so that picture I just showed you was a picture of a giant skeleton that they found in South America. But this is the scary part, is that they aren't just finding these skeletons in 1-2 spots, they are finding these joints everywhere. Literally everywhere. Especially in Antarctica. I have to make another video on that because the stuff they're finding down there would literally, this is the thing, they don't know how to tell the masses the stuff they're finding down there, because if it were to get out, it would kill religion as we know it. But you know, the even scarier part is, these giant skeletons are just proving that there was giants walking on Earth at one point, but that these biblical and religious stories that we grew up being told have some truth to them. But what's even more scary is if you know the story of the Nephilim, it comes from humans and angels having intercourse when they were told not to and create these giants. So that must mean that these angels or higher beings are real. Literally everything we knew is a lie.
Most terrifying things found in the deep sea. Now before I show y'all the photo, I have to give y'all some information. Now there isn't a lot of information on this terrifying shark statue. All we know is the location is Lake Neuchâtel, which is a popular diving destination, but I can't imagine seeing this by accident. Here's the photo.
I bet you didn't know that recently in Egypt they dug up 250 sarcophagi. And they all had intact mummies in them, and around 100 Egyptian artifacts. These mummies were unearthed from the ancient necropolis in Saqqara, Egypt. These artifacts are estimated to be from 2,500 years ago. Hundreds of bronze statues were also unearthed. They took these artifacts and mummies and lined them up outside of the necropolis. 2 wooden statues were also found. They're of the goddesses Isis and Nephthys. Both these goddesses represents the protectors of the sarcophagus. One at the head, one at the feet. They also found a roll of papyrus, which is estimated to be about 32 feet long. It's currently being studied in a lab. And they think it includes pieces of the Egyptian Book of the Dead. Now here's the thing though. Grave robbing and disturbing the dead is considered one of the most horrific crimes you could possibly commit in Egyptian culture. That was one of the very few ways to get the death penalty in Egypt. Not to mention the curses that also go along with them. That those who disturb a sarcophagus, especially one of a pharaoh, will then face a curse. This is a very strong belief in ancient Egyptian culture. So, I mean, maybe you might want to put them back. I mean, Europe already really disrespected ancient Egyptians when they first discovered mummies and ate them as medicine. Yeah, I wish I was making that up. History is weird.
3,753 feet deep in the Indian Ocean. Possibly a rare black pigmented cone jelly. Watch as it shifts its form with ease.
Alright y'all, check this out. The New York Post has come out and said the Milky Way galaxy has 4 malicious alien civilizations that could attack Earth. A PhD student in a Spain university has said that he's found exactly where the famous WOW signal has come from in our galaxy, and it's in a sun-like star 1,800 light years away from us. But the thing is, I'm not focused on where it came from. Listen to this. The researcher said that the aim of his paper was to warn other scientists and put a number of the civilizations that could possibly revert to the messages we send out. Warn other scientists. Haven't we heard this before? I'm just curious as to why this is such a common scenario. Top scientists warning the population about AI and sending radio signals out into space. There's something they're not telling us, and you all know what it is. They're giving you the puzzle pieces, you just gotta put it together.
Wall-E actually has cannibalism in it. Like, the people were eating each other. The people left, and they went around for, I think it was like 700 years, bro? And yet, they showed these smoothies and these drinks. The robot Amex, cause his captain told him to do whatever it is necessary to not return to Earth ever again. So like the theory is that all the dead people that died on that ship, because 700 years, bro, think about how many people died.
This conspiracy theory about aliens is so insane that it may not only prove the existence of aliens, but it may also disprove the idea that we have of life being linear. What if the true nature of life is cyclical instead? And what if every ancient civilization that we know of was far more advanced than we've been led on to believe? That is exactly the case with the ancient Indian Vimana theory. The Sanskrit texts of the Hindu and Buddhist tradition gives a vivid description of a flying craft called Vimana, and it even describes different types of Vimanas. Ones that would travel from one country to another in the blink of an eye, and others that would teleport from planet to planet almost instantaneously. The ancient Indians described these crafts as being vessels for gods to descend on earth. And in all the ancient Vedic texts, there are in-depth discussions regarding these flying crafts, including a full description of their propulsion system, their many godly weapons, and their ability to turn themselves invisible. These ancient texts even mention the use of mercury in the propulsion process of these aircrafts, which astonishingly is only now beginning to be used by NASA and integrated into their ion thruster type spacecrafts. These ancient Vedic texts even describe aerial and galactic wars between different factions of Vimanas. One story from the book of Drona from over 4,000 years ago describes what many believe to be a nuclear war. It describes a single projectile charged with all the power of the universe and the brightness of 1,000 suns. And legend says that these ancient Vedic texts were given to the Indian people by a god named Brahma, who was a four-headed being who sat on a lotus flower and who was believed to be responsible for creating our entire universe. So what exactly happened in ancient India? Were they in fact aliens? Were they maybe a more advanced version of ourselves? Does every civilization advance to a point where it gets reset due to nuclear war? To all the Indian people out there, I need answers.
Bad year of conspiracies, man.
Really? What's your biggest conspiracy that you believe in?
Australia don't exist.
You ever been there?
How can I go there? They don't exist. I think Australia's bullshit.
Surely all the planes go missing if they fly there. Where do they go? Where do the people go when they get on a plane to go Sydney? Where do they go?
Well, I was watching a documentary that was saying it goes to Chile. Like Australia, everyone in Australia is in Chile. I watched that documentary, but then I was like, that might sound bullshit, but I don't think the world map is the world map. I think we can get a train to Africa. But the way you know what I mean? I think Central Line can go further. I don't believe, like, when you get have you been on a plane where you're thinking, this plane ain't moving? It's just up like this, and it just goes down. I swear down. It ain't moving nowhere.